The city woke slowly under a pale morning sky, where tall glass buildings reflected wealth and power, and silent struggles walked unseen between them. Luxury cars moved like kings on the road, and among them traveled Adrian Blackwell, a man whose name ruled boardrooms and whose signature decided the fate of thousands. Adrian believed in discipline, order, and results. He believed emotions were weaknesses and the past was something buried and forgotten. Beside him in the back seat sat his young son, Leo, a quiet, thoughtful boy whose eyes always noticed what others ignored. They were heading to a charity gala one. Adrian attended every year, cameras, lights, applause, a perfect image of generosity. Outside the window, people rushed, vendors shouted, and near a broken sidewalk, a woman sat wrapped in a torn coat holding a cardboard sign. Adrian did not look twice. His phone buzzed with messages. His world was numbers and deadlines. The driver slowed at a traffic light and Leo pressed his face to the glass. The woman lifted her head and for a brief second her eyes met the boy's. Something inside Leo tightened. His heart began to race and his breath caught. "Dad, stop the car," Leo said suddenly. Adrian frowned, annoyed. "We are late." "Dad, please," Leo said again, his voice shaking. The driver hesitated and slowed further. Adrian sighed and finally looked out the window, his eyes landing on the beggar woman for the first time. She looked thin, tired. Her hair tangled, her face marked by years of hardship. Adrian felt nothing but irritation. Then Leo opened the door, stepped out and walked toward her. "Dad, that's Mom," Leo said softly. The world froze. Adrian stepped out slowly, disbelief spreading across his face. The woman stared at the boy, her lips trembling, her eyes filling with tears. "Leo," she whispered, her voice breaking. Adrian felt the ground shift beneath him. Memories long buried began to claw their way back. Years ago there was a woman named Elena, the woman he once loved before ambition consumed him. He had walked away, choosing success over family, telling himself it was necessary. He never looked back. And now the past sat before him, wrapped in poverty and pain. Elena reached out with shaking hands, touching Leo's face as if afraid he might disappear. "You grew so big," she said. Leo hugged her tightly. Adrian stood frozen, his perfect world cracking open in silence. People gathered, whispering, phones raised, capturing the moment. The powerful man standing before a beggar. Adrian felt exposed, stripped of his armor of wealth. He wanted to turn away, to deny it all. But Leo held Elena with a love that cut through every excuse Adrian ever made. "How did this happen?" Adrian asked, his voice low. Elena looked up at him, pain and strength mixing in her eyes. "You left," she said simply. "When you chose your empire, I chose our son." Adrian clenched his fists, memories flooded back. The arguments the night he walked out, promising to send money, promising to return. Money came, but presence never did. Elena continued, "Life didn't wait. Jobs disappeared, sickness came, and pride kept me silent." Leo pulled back, looking at Adrian with confusion and hurt. "You said my mom was dead," Leo said. Adrian felt his chest tighten. "I thought it was easier," he said, barely audible. "Easier for who?" Elena asked. Silence answered. Adrian looked around the street. The people, the poverty, the reality he never allowed into his world. He realized how small his success felt in that moment. "Get in the car," Adrian said suddenly. Elena hesitated. "Not as charity," he added, his voice firm as family. Leo smiled for the first time that day. The ride was silent but heavy with unspoken truths. Adrian watched Elena through the mirror, seeing the woman she once was, and the strength she carried now. At the mansion gates, Elena paused, fear flashing across her face. "I don't belong here," she whispered. "You belong with us," Leo said, gripping her hand. Inside, warmth replaced the cold streets, but discomfort lingered. Adrian ordered food, clean clothes, a room. Elena thanked him, but pride remained. That night, Adrian could not sleep. He walked through halls filled with art and luxury, yet felt empty. He realized wealth built walls, not bridges. Downstairs, he found Elena sitting alone, staring at family photos that never included her. "I'm sorry," Adrian said. The words felt small but necessary. Elena looked at him, tears shining. "Sorry does not give back years," she said. "I know," he replied, "but I want to try." "For Leo." "For us." She nodded slowly, unsure but hopeful. Days passed and the house changed. Laughter returned to rooms long silent. Leo thrived between his parents, bridging a gap built by years of absence. Adrian canceled meetings, choosing breakfasts over boardrooms. The world noticed headlines, questioned his disappearance. But Adrian discovered something richer than profit. He listened to Elena's stories the nights she went hungry so Leo could eat, the shelters, the fear. Each word humbled him. One afternoon, Adrian took Elena back to the street where they met again. She trembled, memories flooding back. He knelt beside the same sidewalk. I ignored you, he said. Not just that day, but for years. I don't want to be that man anymore. Helena watched him, her heart guarded but softening. Adrian began using his resources. Differently: shelters, education, real help, not cameras. People doubted his motives, but he persisted. Leo watched his father change, learning that strength meant accountability. One evening, Elena stood at the balcony watching the city lights. Adrian joined her. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. I don't expect it either, he replied. But I hope for a future. She looked at him, seeing sincerity, not ambition. The boy inside him had grown into a man willing to face his failures. I will stay, she said finally. Not because of this house, but because of Leo. Adrian smiled, accepting her terms. That night they shared a meal, not as strangers, not as lovers, but as family rediscovering itself. Adrian realized redemption was not grand gestures, but daily choices. The city outside buzzed, unaware that inside one home, a broken story was being rewritten. Months later, Adrian stood at the same traffic light. This time he asked the driver to stop. He stepped out, greeting people, offering help personally. Leo stood beside him, proud. Elena watched from the car, her eyes filled with quiet joy. The man who once ignored suffering now faced it. A reporter asked what changed him. Adrian looked at his son, then back at the camera. Love, he said. Not the kind you buy, but the kind you lose and fight to earn back. Leo squeezed his hand. The city continued its rhythm, but one life had altered many. The beggar was no longer invisible. The rich man was no longer blind. And a family once broken now stood together, stronger than wealth ever could.